South Africa, a nation renowned for its natural beauty and cultural diversity, bears the scars of a deeply segregated past. For decades, apartheid ruthlessly divided its people along racial lines. From 1948 to 1994, this regime stripped black South Africans of their rights, relegating them to the margins of society. The legacy of apartheid continues to cast a long shadow over present-day South Africa. The quest for a truly united and equal South Africa remains an ongoing journey. Apartheid's grip on South African society was ruthlessly enforced through a web of discriminatory laws and regulations. These laws were meticulously crafted to strip black South Africans of their rights and freedoms, confining them to a life of subjugation and inequality. At the heart of this system of racial segregation lay the Group Areas Act of 1950. This act, a cornerstone of apartheid legislation, empowered the government to carve up urban and rural areas into racially designated zones. Black South Africans were forcibly removed from their homes, often under the cover of darkness, and herded into overcrowded and underdeveloped townships located far from economic opportunities and basic amenities. These townships became stark symbols of the dehumanizing nature of apartheid, breeding grounds for poverty, crime, and social unrest. The impact of the Group Areas Act extended far beyond physical segregation. It served as a powerful tool to stifle black economic empowerment, restricting their access to land ownership, business opportunities, and even basic services. The deliberate creation of these spatial inequalities had a devastating and enduring impact on the lives of millions of black South Africans, perpetuating a cycle of poverty and disadvantage that continues to this day. The Bantu Education Act of 1953 was another cruel instrument of apartheid, designed to keep black South Africans trapped in a cycle of poverty and subservience. This act introduced a deliberately inferior education system for black children, depriving them of the skills and knowledge they needed to compete in a society rigged against them. The year 1994 marked a watershed moment in South Africa's history, a beacon of hope illuminating a land long shrouded in darkness. It was the year that apartheid, the brutal system of racial segregation that had held the nation captive for nearly half a century, finally crumbled, paving the way for the birth of a new democratic South Africa. The dismantling of apartheid was the culmination of decades of struggle and sacrifice by countless ordinary South Africans who dared to dream of a just and equitable society. It was a victory hard won, driven by the unwavering determination of activists, trade unionists, and ordinary citizens who risked their lives and livelihoods to challenge the brutal apartheid regime. The transition to a democratic South Africa was not without its challenges. The legacy of apartheid, deeply ingrained in the fabric of society, cast a long shadow over the newly formed Rainbow Nation. The deep wounds of segregation, both physical and psychological, would take time and a concerted effort to heal. The election of Nelson Mandela, the iconic anti-apartheid revolutionary as South Africa's first black president, was a moment of immense symbolism and hope. His message of forgiveness, reconciliation, and unity resonated deeply with a nation yearning for healing and a shared future. More than 2 decades after the fall of apartheid, the question of whether black-only communities still exist in South Africa is a complex and nuanced one. While the legally enforced segregation of the apartheid era has been dismantled, the legacy of racial separation continues to shape the social and spatial landscape of the country. In the post-apartheid era, there has been a noticeable trend of black South Africans moving into previously white-dominated areas, driven by a desire for better housing, education, and economic opportunities. However, this movement has not always been met with open arms, with subtle forms of exclusion and resistance persisting in some quarters. While there are no official black-only communities in present-day South Africa, there are areas where black South Africans constitute the overwhelming majority of residents. This is often attributed to socio-economic factors, such as the affordability of housing and proximity to employment opportunities. The persistence of these informal settlements highlights the ongoing challenges of spatial inequality in South Africa. Despite the progress made since the end of apartheid, many black South Africans remain trapped in a cycle of poverty and limited opportunities, confined to areas lacking adequate housing, infrastructure, and basic services. Section 5. A Village Speaks. The Story of Masiphumelele. Nestled amidst the rolling hills of the Western Cape, overlooking the picturesque Noordhoek coastline, lies Masiphumelele, a sprawling informal settlement that stands as a stark reminder of the enduring legacy of apartheid in South Africa. Home to an estimated 60,000 people, predominantly black South Africans, Masiphumelele is a microcosm of the challenges and complexities facing many communities across the country in the post-apartheid era. Established in the late 1980s as a temporary transit camp for Black South Africans displaced by the brutal forced removals of the Apartheid regime, Masiphumelele has, over the years, transformed into a permanent settlement, a testament to the acute housing shortage plaguing the Western Cape. The name Masiphumelele, meaning "let us succeed in Xhosa," reflects the resilience and hope of its residents, many of whom have migrated from rural areas in search of a better life. Life in Masiphumelele is a constant struggle against the odds. The settlement is plagued by overcrowding, poverty, unemployment, and a lack of basic services such as sanitation, electricity, and running water. Homes, often hastily constructed from corrugated iron sheets and wooden planks, are crammed together, leaving little space for privacy or dignity. Despite the myriad challenges they face, the residents of Masiphumelele have shown remarkable resilience and a strong sense of community spirit. Informal businesses have sprung up, providing much-needed goods and services. Churches and community organizations offer a vital lifeline, providing support and a sense of belonging. Section 6. Integration or Isolation. Navigating the Path Forward. The existence of communities like Masiphumelele raises crucial questions about social integration and the legacy of apartheid in South Africa. While the dismantling of legalized segregation was a momentous achievement, the journey towards a truly integrated and equitable society remains ongoing. The persistence of spatial inequality, with many Black South Africans still residing in townships and informal settlements located on the periphery of urban centers, poses a significant challenge to social integration. The lack of access to quality education, healthcare, and economic opportunities in these areas perpetuates a cycle of disadvantage, hindering upward mobility and reinforcing social divisions. Addressing these spatial inequalities is crucial for fostering social integration. This requires a multifaceted approach, encompassing investment in affordable housing, improved public transportation, and the creation of economic opportunities in disadvantaged communities. Furthermore, promoting social cohesion requires tackling the deeply ingrained prejudices and stereotypes that continue to divide South African society. Education plays a vital role in this regard, fostering understanding, empathy, and respect for diversity. Section 7. The Color of Opportunity, Socio-Economic Realities. The legacy of apartheid continues to cast a long shadow over South Africa's socio-economic landscape, manifesting in stark racial disparities in income, wealth, and access to opportunities. Despite the end of legalized segregation, the economic playing field remains uneven, with Black South Africans disproportionately represented among the poorest and most marginalized. The historical disadvantage faced by Black South Africans under apartheid, including limited access to education, land ownership, and business opportunities, has created a persistent wealth gap. Generations of systemic discrimination have resulted in a concentration of wealth and economic power in the hands of a predominantly white minority. Addressing these socio-economic disparities is essential for achieving true social integration and national unity. This requires a concerted effort to promote inclusive economic growth, create employment opportunities, and empower Black South Africans through skills development and access to capital. Affirmative action policies, while controversial, have played a role in addressing historical imbalances and providing opportunities for previously disadvantaged groups. However, it is crucial to ensure that these policies are implemented fairly and transparently, and that they do not inadvertently stifle economic growth or create new forms of inequality. Section 8. A Rainbow Nation in Progress, Striving for Unity. South Africa, often referred to as the Rainbow Nation, embodies a vibrant tapestry of cultures, languages, and ethnicities. The journey towards forging a truly united and harmonious society from the ashes of apartheid is an ongoing process, requiring constant effort, dialogue, and a commitment to social justice. The concept of a Rainbow Nation, popularized by Archbishop Desmond Tutu, envisions a South Africa where diversity is celebrated and embraced, and where people from all walks of life can coexist peacefully and with mutual respect. While this vision remains aspirational, there have been significant strides towards fostering unity and understanding. The Truth and Reconciliation Commission, established in 1996, played a pivotal role in confronting the atrocities of the past and promoting healing and reconciliation. By providing a platform for victims and perpetrators of human rights abuses to share their stories, the TRC sought to acknowledge past injustices and foster a sense of shared humanity. Interracial dialogue, cultural exchange programs, and initiatives aimed at promoting understanding and tolerance are essential for breaking down barriers and building bridges between communities. Section 9. Towards a Shared Future, Healing the Wounds of the Past. The journey towards a truly united and equitable South Africa is a marathon, not a sprint. It demands a sustained commitment from all segments of society to confront the lingering effects of apartheid, challenge prejudice, and work tirelessly towards a future where every citizen has an equal opportunity to thrive. Education remains a cornerstone of this endeavor, equipping future generations with the knowledge, critical thinking skills, and empathy needed to build a more just and inclusive society. By fostering a deep understanding of South Africa's history, including the injustices of apartheid, education can help prevent the mistakes of the past from being repeated. Addressing the socio-economic disparities that continue to plague South Africa is paramount. This requires a multi-pronged approach, encompassing job creation, skills development, land reform, and investment in disadvantaged communities. By empowering Black South Africans economically, the cycle of poverty and inequality can be broken, paving the way for a more prosperous and equitable society. Ultimately, the quest for a truly united South Africa requires a fundamental shift in mindsets, a departure from the divisive ideologies of the past, and an embrace of a shared future based on the values of equality, dignity, and Ubuntu, the African philosophy of interconnectedness and shared humanity.